Okay, so welcome, Juan. So this little conversation that we're going to have is going to be about the Inka Seed, and I've asked Juan Nuñez Del Prado to come and have this conversation with me so that we can, for the benefit of people that don't know about the Inka Seed and the Andean tradition, can get a little bit of insight into it. So my first question to you, Juan, would be, for the benefits of people who don't know anything about the Andean tradition or don't know about the concept of the Inka Seed, could you explain a little bit about that for me, please?
Well, we need to do a little bit of story about that. In the 15th century, more precise in 1438, somebody became an Inca. Inca was the ruler, the emperor of the state of the Tawantinsuyo, which was starting with this man. Anyway, he get in troubles with some other people with whom he was fighting, and the holy city of Cusco was in danger, and he was not able to organize the defense of the city. Then he asked some advice for a lady who was of the same age. She was 18 years old too. They were very young people. And she suggested, you need to ask for the power of the God of your father. This was the advice. The father of this man was Huiracocha Inca, and as Moses, he has the revelation of the metaphysical God in the Andes, and he called this God Huiracocha. Anyway, the lady was suggesting not only to pray to him or invoke him, but to ask for the power of this God. And together they went to a place which is known until today as Qoricocha, the Golden Lake. And when they performed a ritual, a light came down from the heaven and covered the young man. Then he returned back to Cusco, and everybody saw him glowing. And his father, the Inca of the time, was alive, and the Inca successor of the time was elected. He didn't suppose to become an Inca, but because the people of Cusco saw him glowing, they made him the Inca. He organized the defense, he defeated these people, and amazingly not only defeat them, but he returned back to the city with these people as his bodyguard. He was the capacity to persuade them and trust them. In a way, he put them in charge of taking care of his life. This is just amazing. Anyway, he became a prototype of this society, and he is the Sapa Inca, the singular Inca. But as you can see, you can extrapolate that and interpret this state of consciousness as being enlightened. This happened to him, something which happened to Buddha, because according to the Tantric tradition, the Buddha was enlightened in the body tree, under the body tree. Then he crossed the marketplace and the people saw him glowing. Okay? And because of that, we can say Pachacuti was the enlightened of the Andean tradition. He's a prototype of the enlightenment, like the Buddha is the prototype for the Oriental people. Anyway, but after the colonial times and the Republican times, the way in which we found this is like a sign of the sixth level of consciousness. The name of the Andean tradition is Kanchispata Ñan, which means the path of 7 levels. And in this scale, the prototype of the 6th level is Pachacuti Inca. Then, the tradition makes the statement about how today every human being is born with an Inka seed inside. There is a tradition of planters. And a seed, of course, is just a tiny portion of matter, but in the seed is the whole information to create a huge tree. Of course, to do that, need energy in form of light, water, earth, wind, or oxygen. Okay? But if you put a drop of water in a seed, it triggers a process of germination. Then the seed put away two little roots and two little leaves. And with that connection could grow until develop a huge tree if you don't cut the connection. This is the background of the metaphor, which means you arrive to planet Earth with the potential to become enlightened in one life, okay? And to develop this state of consciousness, what you need to do is just feed this seed with the living energy of the environment. And this is, I think, the background which explains what is the Inka seed. But the statement of the tradition is every human being arrived to planet Earth now with the Inka seed, which means you have all the information to become enlightened in this life. Of course, if you take your measure, because it's not something which happens, it's something you need to make it happen. Okay? Clear?
Yeah, that's great. So with the seed doesn't grow it won't just germinate naturally. It has to have something to process that. And what happens if we don't tend to the seed, and in what way can we tend to our seed in the Andean way?
Well, this is a teaching. If you didn't receive classes of quantum physics, you are not going to know ever what is a quark. Okay? It's the same thing. This is a knowledge which is the base of a process in which you can expand yourself, a process of growth, okay? And of course, if you don't have any connection with the tradition or even eventually if you are born as an Indian and you are not looking for becoming a Paco, which is the way in which you develop yourself, you are not going to pay attention to your seed. To give you an example, 100 years ago, more or less, Jung discovered a set of factors, including the self, which is the center of the psyche, the whole psyche. But how many people in the Western society knows what is the self, the Jungian self? When you learn about the self and you learn about the process of individuation, of course, you can start the process. For that, you can ignore totally this part of something which is in you from the beginning.
So everybody has the potential to let the seed grow, but not everybody's going to do that. Yeah. So what would happen if we don't?
But what you need to do is connect that seed with living energy which is in the environment. And this is another statement of the tradition. The name of the whole cosmos is Kausai Pacha. Pacha is a word which means time and space. And time and space together you can translate as cosmos, the whole reality, okay? Mm-hmm. But it's not only Pacha, it's Kausai Pacha. And Kausai is the name of life, okay? It's a living cosmos. For us, everything around us is alive. If you take a stone in your hand, this stone is alive in his own way too, okay? It's a very peculiar thing. We, the Westerns, divide the reality in things, objects, and beings. For the Andean tradition, everything is a being. A stone, the sun, a tree, everything is a being. And being a being, in a certain way, you can connect personally with all these factors, okay? Mm-hmm. Then you need to be aware about the living cosmos around, which is the source of living energy. Then this seed, to manifest his potential, need to be fed by the living energy. And you do that through certain kind of exercises. You are feeding your seed like a planter is irrigating the place in which he has the corn, etc. You need to take care of your seed.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms, so is in the seed is your potential, but is it your destiny also in your seed, or do you is there something else about in terms of finding your purpose? Do you think it's predestined in our seed?
Well, it's a potential. As a human being, you have the potential of becoming anything you want, like a monk or a nun, or a physician, or a doctor, or whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have the potential to develop yourself in an expert, to say. But there are people who don't do that. Just stay in the ordinary way of living, and that's it. You cannot say in the Western civilization you are predestined to become a scientist. No, you have this possibility of becoming one scientist, but you are not obligated, or it's not. You are not predestinated to become. It's more or less the same. To give you an extreme example, in the tradition we have something which is a social role. It's the usuri. Usuri is a normal human being, but it's somebody who decides to stay in the zero level. Zero level, okay?
Yeah.
He decides to stay there. He don't take any responsibility. He didn't earn his money. He depends on the people, of the things the other people can give them. And this is a beautiful thing. If you decide to be a usuri, the community is going to accept you as you decide, and is going to help you to survive as a usuri. That's it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you can become a Q'eros. The Q'eros is in ranking top. But this is after you. Nobody is going to force you to become a Q'eros. If you decide so and you feel comfortable of becoming a Q'eros, you are going to become a Q'eros. What is a Q'eros? It's the ranking top. Even if you have a group of students around a master, in this group always there is a Q'eros. The Q'eros is the man who's very close to the master himself.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, you have the whole opportunity. You have anything you need to develop yourself until the top, but it's after you. It's absolutely free.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a spiritual democracy, extreme democracy, to say.
Mm.
Because everybody come to the world with an Inka seed, but everybody arrive to the world in the zero level. This is the statement of a tradition. There are another tradition who think you can carry something from your past, but not in the Andean tradition. Okay?
Mm-hmm. So you have your free will to choose what your destiny is going to be, rather than it being predestined.
I have a nice example.
Mm-hmm.
One of my fellows in the school of Don Andrés Espinosa was close to become the ranking of the Q'eros. And was Don Mariano Apaza, the master of Ivan. He has the open to become an Alto Misayo, but he decided to stay as a Pampa Misayo the whole life and stay there, even receiving the top training, even has the supernatural invitation to become. He decided to just stay in another role.
Mm-hmm. So I often wonder that about some of the Pacos that we've been working with, and the lineage like Don Benito, and if they have the ability to become sixth level or seventh level, why would they not take that opportunity? Do you think being fourth level, they're able to access, spread the word sort of thing, or what?
Apparently, you have all the things you need, but it's not a mechanical thing.
Yeah.
Okay? It's necessary certain effort, and you are going to be taken by the hand, which means by the responsibility of a master, into the fourth level. But beyond that, it's a business between you and the Holy One. Okay?
Yeah.
To speak about my master, my top master, all of them were fourth level people. They know they were fourth level people. They were looking to become a fifth level, but they didn't. Why? Something was missing. I don't know. I spent all the time I am in the tradition because I was initiated in the fourth level very early. Okay? And I'm looking to become the fifth level, but I didn't find the way. It's something which is necessary and is something beyond my knowledge or beyond my way of being or beyond circumstances in the reality, which is another thing. I think there is a time for the emerging of certain types of people. Say, we were waiting the Taripa Pacha, the New Age, and one of the factors which is going to be part of the Taripa Pacha is people of the sixth level, the fifth level. Okay? And once a friend of mine was asking to my master if the Taripa Pacha already arrived. And he came out of his house and he take a look in the direction of the city of Cusco. And he said, no, not yet. Because the light living energy is not yet in the top of the mountains. It's just at the half. Which means it's not only your will, but is related with certain circumstances to allow you to become a fifth level. Something must happen outside. Certain state of energy outside must be ready to propel you or whatever.
Like the masters can only take you to the fourth level, and then you have to kind of work it out on your own to get to the fifth level and so on.
But for some reason, I was working in that and I didn't get it. The masters were looking for that and they didn't get it too. Why? Maybe it was not the time. And the time here is not the time of the calendar. The time here is like the Kairos of the Greeks. A certain character of the time.
Well, what happens then with your seed after you die? Then what will happen to it?
Well, according to the tradition, the seed, the Inka seed, is something which is given to you by God. It's something perfect inside yourself. Okay? The way in which the traditions say is how the first thing is when you were conceived, your parents give you a tiny body. And this tiny body attracts a drop of God, which is your seed. Okay. Then you complete your development when you get your popo. And these three factors, the seed, the body, which is the hanchi, and the popo, are your wasi, your temple. Okay?
Yeah.
And you try to make grow your popo, which is your psyche or your mind or your soul, if you want, across all your life. The commitment of life is to improve that with the information of the seed and with the connection of the external energy. When you die, your body is dropped to the ground. You don't have the container.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you stop being a human being. When you die, you stop being a human being. You become a Aya, which is a ghost.
Mm.
And you can stay here and planet Earth for several days as a ghost, which means your soul and your popo and your seed stay together. Then, around a period of 8 days, your energetical field return back to the collective pool.
Mm-hmm.
And your seed, when the Anahuacha, return back to God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's why we don't have the anxiety for being to the purgatory or to the hell or whatever. Everybody went to the holy glory of God, but only in spirit, which means only the seed travel to the Anahuacha.
Mm.
This is what happened with your seed. Then your seed come down as a drop of God with the God identity, but when the seed return back up, it's carrying your identity. It's a, to say, divine spark of you, which is a beautiful metaphor of the transcendence. Okay,
Mm-hmm. And do you think
you come as a drop of God, and you become a spark of God with your identity.
Mm-hmm. So it retains everything that you've done throughout your life in your seed, as well as
Not really. The only thing which is taken by your seed is your identity.
Mm.
Because all the things you did in life stay here. It's your popo, your animal, your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And the popo is the same as your soul then?
It's your soul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To make a parallel, your seed could be seen as your spirit,
Mm-hmm.
your pneuma in Greek. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Your body is your material body, and this your phys in Greek.
Mm-hmm.
And your bubble is your soul, which is your psyche in Greek. We can have a very close parallel between the Greeks and the Andeans in his way of being what is a human being.
Mm.
A human being is a body, phys for the Greeks, it's a soul, psyche, and it's pneuma or spirit. For us, is the popo, is the hanch, and is the seed. But the meaning of these three is the same.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, interesting. So when you go the seed and the popo separate, and the popo, the soul, stays here, so that you kind of like almost like leave a legacy of your life.
It's a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And this legacy return back to the ground and is imprinted in the ground.
Yeah. So your popo can expand exponentially, I suppose. If you're like somebody like Buddha, or even like the Dalai Lama, or somebody who's like really renowned or famous, they'll have a bigger popo. Do you think, or yeah?
It's not because you are famous.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can be famous and can be of the first level. Can you see?
Yes, yes, that's pretty true, especially nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's your commitment which make you somebody special. To
Mm.
say, a four-level person supposed to be committed with the whole humanity without any distinction.
Mm.
Then, if you want to have an example of that, obviously the Dalai Lama could be a person like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. The Andean masters can give you and train you to become somebody of the quality of the Dalai Lama.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you become a fourth-level person, you are somebody of the quality of that kind of people. The Dalai Lama, another example could be Martin Luther King, another example could be Mahatma Gandhi, etc. That quality of people is people of the fourth level. Okay?
Yeah.
Not necessarily you need to take the responsibility of a Dalai Lama or the responsibility of the Gandhi. This is up to you.
Mm.
You can just be only for yourself. But your connection is with the whole humanity without difference.
Mm.
If you are a committed Catholic, you're a third level person.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't mess with Muslims. Can you see?
Yes. Yeah.
Or if you are a committed Buddhist and you believe how the people to be okay need to convert to the Buddhist, you are a third level person. The third level is the level of the monotheist.
Yeah. Mm. And when you were talking about in terms of the bubble going up to the mountains, is that then the collective bubble of all of the people's populace?
In that case, Benito was speaking about the collective bubble of the Andeans in general, which is not the bubble of the whole earth. It's a specific bubble of the Andeans, okay? But to propel one Andean to the next level, this bubble needs to cover the whole top of the mountains in Cusco. You know, it's not a calendar; it's a state of the energy.
Yeah. Mm. Well, there's hope. There's hope yet.
So I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
The last time I worked with Don Benito, he showed me something. Showed me a saiwa, a gold saiwa, which was a gold column who went from the center of the city of Cusco until the top. He showed me that to show me how we are close.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But once I was in Rome with a friend, and the same thing happened, but the saiwa was emerging of the Vatican, which means the state of energy of Europe is more or less at the same level than the state of energy of Peru today. I interpret the thing in that way. It makes sense. Anyway, if somebody is going to step the fifth level there, he starts to share that, and it's a wave which is going to take the whole world. Okay? And for me, it's not important if Q'eros was the first, or you were the first, or anyone was the first anywhere in the world. If somebody steps in the fifth level, this level is going to be available for all the rest of humans. This is our objective. And of course, always is somebody the first in history. Okay? Need to be a specific person. According to the tradition, there's not any teacher who can teach the fifth level today. There were in the past, but they are not now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wanted to ask about. So often when I go to your workshops and when I do your workshops, which I absolutely love, when we do tarpwe to plant our seed, and people just start to learn about the Inka seed for the first time. And then sometimes, I think it's in the yoke, we plant the seed and then we go and have lunch. And then everybody is kind of like, oh my gosh, I feel lost. I've lost my seed. And they've only just learned about it for maybe the first time. What do you think is happening there? Is it about susceptibility, or is there something else at play that makes people feel like they've lost their seed?
Imagine being a person who's not so wealthy. You are not so wealthy. I arrive one day and I give you a diamond, very expensive diamond. And then I suggest you need to bury it because you cannot expend it today or in this year. What is going to be the feeling of God? Okay?
That's so true.
Yeah. Of course, you are going, if you bury it, you are going to recover the diamond, and it's your diamond. But for some reason, you need to hide it. Okay?
Yeah.
But you are not going to feel so comfortable putting your diamond in the ground because you were poor, you become rich, and now you are rich, but you cannot use it yet. Okay? I think it's natural.
Yeah.
Because two exercises before of this exercise, you really make the top connection with your seed. You discover, you connect for first time with the whole quality of your seed, and you discover how inside yourself there is somebody enlightened, really. It's not only thinking you have a Buddha inside, it's touching this inner Buddha in you. And the next exercise, this is the kanai. The next exercise is showing you what it can do for you. If you move it to your heart, she's going to produce automatically love. Can you see?
Yes.
Feelings are here, but if you feed your feelings with your seed, it's an expansion of love. It's what the Greeks call agape. Okay? This is the power of the seed. And now I am talking about it. I'm referring to that experience, but it's something direct in the student. Because there are two exercises in which he has the perception, or she has the perception. Then you suggest them how need to put the seed in the ground. It's a little bit tricky, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the example of the diamond.
I suppose it's a bit like when we start to build our mishas and we get very attached to them as well. And it's like, you don't want to leave it behind anywhere. You're like, oh my God, my misha.
Oh my misha. My precious.
Teddy bear, you bring it to bed. And
Afterwards, after a time, you know how the misha is a backup of you. But even if you lose it, it's not a tragedy. Of course, I'm not going to be happy of losing my misha.
Yeah.
It's one of my precious objects, of course. But if I lose it anyway, I can rebuild my misha because I know how to do it. But in the beginning, if you lose the misha, you are lost. And you are totally attached with your misha. It's a good example too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So given that the seed is, now I have to say that some of these questions that I have, my friend Neil Brocklehurst, you'll know him, he did a couple of your trainings before, and he's really into Jungian psychology, and he gave me some of these questions which are really amazing, so I have to give him credit for that. So given that the seed is so central to our development, why do you think that so many of us aren't aware of it?
Excuse me? I don't get the point.
So given that the seed is central to our development, why do you think that so many people aren't aware of it yet? Or, you know, I mean, I was brought up Catholic, so we had the spirit where we were talked about the spirit, but you didn't really get like a full feeling of what it was. It was just, you know, you were told about it in church and mass and stuff like that. So I don't know whether that's a good explanation of it, but I suppose just why do you think people aren't? Is there other traditions that people could learn about their seed? I suppose maybe with.
Yes, of course. If you are a very committed Catholic, very deep and committed Catholic, if you enjoy the communion, the host, you are eating the body of Jesus. Okay?
Yeah.
What a real believer, really committed Catholic feel in the communion could be comparable with the experience of discovering your seed in the Andean tradition. Two different symbolical backgrounds. But this experience of the perception could be equivalent. In another way, in the Hindi tradition, if you are learning yoga,
Mm-hmm.
the teachers start to talk about your inner guru.
Mm.
For a time, you need to follow a guru.
Mm-hmm.
But the duty of a guru is introduce you with your inner guru.
Mm.
When he really introduces you with your inner guru, his work stops because he cannot take you beyond that.
Yeah.
Who's going to take you far is your inner guru.
Mm-hmm.
But not all the yoga teachers teach about that.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them are aware about the inner guru.
Mm.
And not all of them are able to communicate the inner guru. Can you see it?
Yes, yes. So true.
If you become a Buddhist, they are going, at least the top people are going to start to talk about you, are going to talk about the inner Buddha,
Mm-hmm.
which is an amazing statement. You are a Buddha inside,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason you forget it.
Mm-hmm.
The moment in which you remember that, you are going to become enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the saying. How many enlightened Buddhists you know in this world?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of Buddhists, there are top developed Buddhists, but none of them is enlightened yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he were enlightened, he's going to be somebody at the same level than Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha. I can see amazing Buddhist teachers, but I didn't see somebody in the sixth level. I didn't see somebody who can grow in front of you. Can you see?
Yeah.
One is the intellectual background. Another thing is what you do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if you study Jungian psychology, Jung are going to teach you about the process of individuation. And he's going to teach you how inside yourself you have the self, okay? Which is the center of your whole consciousness, including consciousness and unconscious, okay?
Mm-hmm.
According to Jung, if you complete the process of individuation, you are going to become a person like Jesus or like Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
Because he made a statement about how in history the two people who really developed the complete process of individuation were Jesus and Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
Is in the statement of him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
But how many Jungian psychologists are developing his self totally? How many of them are behaving as Jesus Christ or as the historical Buddha? Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the master, Carl Jung, right about this level.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a witness, is a South African student, who say how he was in Liverpool in England, and he was under a magnolia tree, and he became enlightened. Mm-hmm. This man saw him. Mm-hmm. How many followers arrived to that? Yeah. If you suggest to Jungian followers today the possibility of becoming enlightened just practicing the technique is I don't remember. There is
Is it the process of individuation?
The active imagination.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Is what he used for himself. Mm-hmm. And what is that? Mm-hmm. It's just deciding what are you going to imagine. Mm-hmm. And then imagine what you're supposed to imagine. Mm-hmm. This is the method of Jung, the method he applied to himself. Mm-hmm. And yes, in the site, thanks to Neil, we were invited to go to the Indian Institute. And we present a lecture about what we do. And the people who are listening us tell us, well, this is a system of active imagination. This is their statement, okay? Which means our Jungian psychology or Jungian therapy and Andean tradition are two ways to achieve the same.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're very similar.
There is something which is amazing. Apparently, Sri Aurobindo, you know Aurobindo?
Yeah.
Is the founder of the integral yoga. Are witnesses who say about how he was able to produce light. Okay? You have Aurobindo in the East, you have Jung in the West, and you have Garavilo Quispe in the Andean tradition 2 generations ago. Okay?
So it's not that far away.
A teaching in America, in South America, a teaching in Europe, and a teaching in India show you the same pattern to become something. The whole, in certain moment, is going to be dragged up. If somebody triggers himself in India, this is going to resonate in Switzerland and is going to resonate in South America, I am sure. Because I study what's the meaning of the transference. Did you read Psychology of Transfers of Jung? It's how certain kind of information can travel from one person to other through the unconscious, and the people is not even knowing what's going on with him.
Yeah. Well, so you caught me off guard there. So I was wondering, this is probably on a personal level. What have you learned about your Inka seed, and can you share an experience maybe of where you know, because the thing I love about the Andean tradition is that it's, you know, it's all about your own perception on things, and you actually get to make your own mind up about from the experiences that you've had. So I was wondering if you could share an experience where you just knew unquestionably, oh, that's my Inka seed, and you knew it was talking.
I went away of the Catholic Church, but I recovered my connection with the Catholic Church. And once I was sick, I was in Lima, and I went to the doctor, etc. Nothing happened. And I went to a mass, and I received the host. It was a flash of light. I came out and I was healed. Something happened there. That's why I compare the communion with the experience of the seed. Okay? The first time in which I made the exercise of the canai with Don Benito was like that. It was an explosion of light from here, but was even last more time than the communion, you know. The communion was a flash. In this case, was an expansion of light. And it's amazing. It's a real joy. When it happened, just to use a metaphor, you fell in love with yourself. You fell in love with yourself. Because you discover how something really beautiful is inside yourself. This experience is probably the medicine for the problem of the self-esteem. And I'm mentioning two traditions in which the tradition could trigger that kind of experience. Not always you go to the communion, you are going to experience that. Not always in which you work with your seed, you are experiencing that. But with one time is enough. Now you know. After one time, you know. It's not about you believe. See, one thing is to believe. Another thing is to know.
Yeah. That's what I love about it, because it's like you're not told how to believe in something. It's try this on and experience it and see how it feels for you, and then you make your own mind up about it. That's what I love about the Andean tradition.
In certain way, the first step in any tradition is to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I am a believer is the first step. Then you trust what the traditions say,
Mm-hmm.
and you become a seeker,
Mm-hmm.
looking for that. Okay? And sooner or later, you're going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way of seeing better what is the big group of believers. They have what they need. But there are certain people for whom it's not enough just to believe. It's not enough a second-hand information.
Mm-hmm.
They want to test, try. In certain way, a seeker is like a doubting Thomas.
That's still, yeah.
Remember him?
Yes.
I don't touch the hands and I don't touch the chest. I'm not going to believe.
Mm-hmm.
It is Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, the Lord allowed them to touch. And he says something which was not said by any of the other disciples. Say to Jesus, my God and my Lord.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only disciple who arrived to that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is the secret.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my favorite saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, it's not possible just believe without seeing.
Yeah.
And because of that, I really engage with the Andean tradition because they show you.
Mm-hmm.
They train you to see by yourself.
Yeah. 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 I think I've always been a bit of a seeker, and then when I'm showed something, I go, did that really happen? Can I get more proof? And then, and then that keeps happening, and I get more proof, and then I go, okay, next thing, okay, more proof, more proof. And it just keeps going like that. And every time I get the proof, so it's just amazing.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Then, in the first half of the 20th century, the people dismissed that kind of experiences. But in the second half of the 20th century, there were all the transpersonal psychology, which is a result of the teaching of Jung in big part. And you have what you say Abraham Maslow considered the peak experience.
Mm-hmm.
The peak experience is something which happened to you and have the same value than the meeting of Moses with God.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you don't believe anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
And according to Maslow, usually almost all the people are glimpses of that experience. But for some reason, the tradition teach you how this is only for special people. You need to be a chosen one or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel you are not able to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the tradition, the difference with the Andean tradition is everybody have the right of arriving to that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's going to take certain time. You need to behave yourself. But sooner, if you really take the protocol of the tradition, sooner or later, you are going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
This is my experience with the fourth level.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened to me in the transition between the third and the fourth, I can say, and I can be sure how to arrive to the fifth is going to be another transition.
Mm-hmm.
And when happen, I'm going to be sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, could we finish maybe with an exercise? Could you show us something for the benefit of people that haven't done any Andean practices, how you would, maybe get in touch with your seed?
Well, something which is really amazing about the Andean seed, the Andean tradition, is the simplicity. Did you hear about William the Ockham? William of Ockham.
No.
Did you hear about the Ockham knife?
No.
Well, it's part of the scientific background. But what's the meaning in science? If you have two explanations, one is more simple than the other, probably the most simple is going to be the right.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of scientists know that, and if you take a look of the Ockham knife, you are going to find this. In certain way, William of Ockham is considered the last.
Oh, hold on a second, Juan. You just somehow muted there. Hold on. I'm not sure what's happened here. 1 wee second. Let me just go to the gallery. I can't unmute you for some reason. Did you find it? I'll just put a pause.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
We're going to restart the whole thing. Simplicity is something I really like in the tradition. And technically, in the tradition, you have only 3 exercises: Saminchakui, Saiwachakui, and Huchamihui. Anything else is just a form or something more sophisticated about these 3 exercises. And the basic one is Saminchakui. You need to take the background of having a bubble. It's a field of energy which surrounds you. You need to think about having enough living energy outside. And you need to agree with the principle of the tradition about how only your intention is enough to drive the living energy. Okay? Mm-hmm. Then what do? You stay there and calm. You use your intention to open your bubble in the top. And then you make the intention of making flow the energy of the heaven through yourself to take anything heavy in you. You are going to start to perceive the flow in a certain moment. If you continue making the energy flowing, to say for 5 minutes, you are going to experience a deep well-being. According to the tradition, this well-being emerges because you touch your seed. It's the first perception of your seed. And the knowledge about how your seed is capable to give you well-being without any external circumstances. Okay?
Yeah. Brilliant. That is good. I think everybody could try that at home.
Why don't you guide the exercise?
You want me to do it? I wasn't prepared for that, but okay. All right. So, well, I usually, if you're new to the Andean tradition, I would say stand up when you're doing this exercise, but I'll go off screen if I stand up. So, if you're doing it maybe for the first time, just connect with your feet on the floor, and everything moves from your intention. So when you make the intention to open your bubble and ask Father Cosmos to send his light living energy, then the energy will flow. So you can have your eyes open or closed. So I'm just going to close my eyes while I guide you through it, but just be comfortable in whatever position you're standing or seated in. And then making the intention of opening up your pakpo. And your pakpo, your bubble extends about an arm's length above your head. And then you make the intention of asking Father Cosmos for his light living energy. And let that light living energy, the Sami, pour down. And as it pours down through you, bring it into your bubble and pay attention to the crown of your head. Let the energy flow not only in your bubble, which is in front of you, behind you, to your right and to your left, but also through your hanchi, your body. So let it flow through your body. And as it flows through your body, unhook any hucha, any heavy energy that you may be feeling in your body, and let it fall down to your feet. And then pay attention to the soles of your feet and make the intention of releasing any hucha that's ready to be let go now down to Pachamama. And you can continue to make that flow stronger in front of you, behind you, to your left, to your right. Continue to release any hucha from your body and your bubble. And your seed, your Inka seed, is situated just below your heart, around about the height of your breastbone, but right to the center of your body. So as the energy flows down, just become aware of your Inka seed. Making the intention with this downward flow of energy, this Samin Chakwi, to cleanse and to clean and to let go of hucha from your body. So that's Samin Chakwi, and you can, if you feel like you need to close the soles of your feet and close the top of your bubble, you can do so, but I like to continuously let it flow, so it doesn't have to be closed, or it can continue to flow throughout, just whenever you think about it and when you need it.
After doing the exercise, I'm sure everyone has the feeling of well-being at the end part of the exercise. What produced that is your seed.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
No, we are not sending in the seed to the ground yet.
No, you have to keep your seed.
It's going to stay with you.
Yes, we can take it with us. And now that you know that it's there, just being aware of it, and that you can start to work with the energies, and yeah, come learn off this man here. He can teach you all about it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Juan. That was amazing.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure too. Thank you for the interview. A big hug to all.